right, so we are going to pack our bag from the bottom up. So the last thing service that you do is the one that we're going to start with for packing your bag. So your manicure and your polished application supplies. So your hand with the artificial nails attached, and it says it must be an entire hand and cannot have removable digits. Your finger bowl, some water, nail files. It says and or buffer, but they tell you to buff the nails, so you definitely need a buffer. I would take a couple files in case you drop one. Your cotton, cuticle remover, a cuticle pusher, your nail brush, your massage product, which is going to be lotion, base coat, top coat, red polish, and polish remover. So you do have to apply cuticle oil, which is not on there, so make sure that you have cuticle oil. I would also make sure that you have towels, both fabric towel and paper towels, because you're going to want that as you're working your way through. It's nice to have those paper towels with you so that you can wipe off anything that you need to along the way. All right, so from there, that will go in your that will be the first gallon baggie that you stick in there. You need to make sure that your nail polishes are labeled, top coat, base coat. So if you looked at mine, it says start to finish, which is a base coat and a top coat. So it needs to be in English so that the examiners can actually see it. First bag. Next bag. Your second bag, which is going to go in your little bag next, is actually going to be for the waxing service and the tweezing service. So you're going to work your way back. I'm going to slide back up to the next one. All right. So something to hold your client's hair back. So if you have a headband, at this point, I recommend that plastic cap that we cover her up with, because at this point, she's going to have color in her hair. She's going to have foils in her hair. She's going to have relaxer in her hair. All of those things. You're going to need antiseptic, which is your alcohol, which can be part of your first aid kit. You're going to need tweezers, wax strips, applicator sticks, and it also says a soft wax product and post-epilation product. So in this one, you might also want to have gloves as well, and you also want to have cotton because you need to clean that off. So like your post-epilation product could be aloe, could be some type of lotion. Your antiseptic should be true antiseptic. So that's going to be like your alcohol or something to clean that area. And then gloves. Make sure that you have your gloves through there. And we'll just make wax strips out of paper towels. We'll cut them into strips the size that you need to actually use those within your kit for just the waxing procedure. Because remember, everything is simulated. So we did our waxing and our tweezers, so make sure that you have those. Again, everything needs to be labeled in English. So your third bag is going to be your biggest bag. This is all of your chemical services as well as your blood exposure, which your first aid kit's going to be out the entire time. So even though it says blood exposure procedure for this part, you're actually going to have your first aid kit out all the time. So for your relaxer, you're going to have your simulated relaxer. So all of this is going to be in 1 gallon baggie. So you're going to have a bowl and a brush for your relaxer. You're actually going to have simulated relaxer product, and that needs to be labeled simulated relaxer product. Now they call it colored. They want to actually see that there's some sort of color to it. Your relaxer, we will actually leave the color of cholesterol. We'll use cholesterol for that. But then when it comes to your hair color, so your highlighting and your hair color, we'll actually put some food coloring in that to separate those. So you're going to need another bowl and brush for your hair color retouch as well as your simulated product. Again, you're going to be able to use the same gloves, but you might want to have some extra gloves in there. Plus, you're going to need combs. So however many combs that you think you would need, I would probably have, I don't know, I would have your tail comb in here, and I would have a regular hair cutting comb, because we're going to have a bag that you're able to use for everything when you need something. So, oops, sorry about that. So for highlighting, you're going to need to make sure that you have enough foils. I would actually pull your foils out, keep them all separated from each other so they're much easier for to grab. If you want to have the ends folded, you could have the ends folded as well. If you don't, that's great. So you're going to need your bowl and brush as well. And then we're going to color and have your foils. You're going to need a tail comb. You're going to need gloves for that service. So predisposition test, this can be the same hair color that we're using for both the highlight and the retouch. So again, you're going to need a bowl and brush applicator, which actually our little color, we can use that for all of these. And then you're going to need like soap and water and cotton to make sure, as well as gloves, because when we come to clean behind the ear, you're going to need another foil to do your strand test at this point with your simulated color, so that you're going to make sure that you do that. And then you're going to want to have some paper towels so that you can wipe it off if you need to. For your perms, you're going to need enough perms rods to do from the crown all the way to the nape, making sure that you have end papers, simulated waving lotion. And then also in this bag, you're going to need to have your protective cream, so your barrier cream, some more gloves, tail combs for your perming. Your timer would be a good thing in there, and then you're also going to have that plastic cap that's in there as well. And make sure again that you have enough cotton to actually go around the perm rods to actually section that area off. You're also going to need, which they didn't talk about, you're going to need your perm solution, which is going to be water. We'll put a plastic covers like saran wrap over the bottle so it doesn't leak. So you want to make sure that that bottle is full and that it's actually labeled waving lotion, which you should have already. If you want, you can have your hole already in the hole of the top of the red cap, and then if we put that plastic wrap over it, that'll protect it from leaking out. So then think about other things that you need to do. Even though this is considered one client, we can have an extra bag that has everything in it. So I would have extra combs in there. I would have extra color brushes in there. Your color bowls and your relaxer bowls are actually going to be the little Rubbermaid or whatever container that it's in. We just need to make sure that all of the covers are labeled what they are. Now you can't write that it's chemically waving, but you can actually write on there that it's highlight. Excuse me, I take that back. You can actually write on there that it's relax, or you can write on there that it's color, because those are all things that it would be if it was that. So it has to be written in English so that they can read it. And so that's going to be your second science. So you're actually going to need a plastic cape, and I would have enough towels for all of those services. So chemical waving, and then highlighting, color, and then relaxer. So I would actually have about 6 to 8 towels at this point just for those services. Even though it's considered the same client, you need to make sure that in case something would happen, that it would drop. So this is a plastic cape. You might want to actually have an extra cape along that's a plastic cape that you can use in case your cape falls on the floor. You can go through the disinfection process of wiping it off with your barbicide wipes, and that is an option. Okay, so for hair cutting, you're going to need, again, combs. You're going to need your all-purpose cape. So your kid's cape is actually considered an all-purpose cape, so it can be used for both hair cutting, thermal curling, and chemical services, but you would still need 2 of them because this is considered 2 different clients. So you're going to need hair cutting supplies, so shears and razors, plus combs. Then thermal curling, you need your iron. And then also you're going to want to use a sanic for this point. So you need to test your curling iron, but you also need a sanic for your client. So you need all of those things. Now this universal supplies, that's that bag that I was talking about that can have everything in it. So this is when you come in, you make sure that you have your mannequin stand, like one of the most important things, as well as your mannequin head. It says protective capes, child size cape may be used. The capes I bought at Sally's, pretty inexpensive, plastic capes, and maybe they were $8, I can't remember. Neck strips, again, you're gonna have towels. Now your towels will probably put in a garbage bag so that you can keep them. You can go back into your bag, but you need to make sure that you're sanitizing your hands each time you go in there. Clips, so you need to make sure that you have something to section the hair with. Combs, I would bring lots of combs, both tail combs, regular combs. Hair brushes, the hair brushes they're actually talking about are like color brushes or relaxer brushes. So again, I would make sure you need at least 1 for every service. So I'd have 4, if not maybe 6 or 8 of those along the way as well. Your protective cream, spatulas. The reason you need spatulas is to get your products out. So this would be like for your protective cream, anything along the way, and then cotton, and then gloves. So those are all things that are important as well. I feel like we're missing something. Paper towels, I would make sure that you have extra paper towels in your universal bag as well. Maybe your timer. Water bottle is going to be a good thing to have. So let's move up a little bit more. So it talks about your supply kit as a dry sanitizer. So it has to be able to zip shut. So every time you go in it, you have to be able to zip it back shut. Barbicide wipes, and they can only be wipes now, no aerosols, no sprays. It says must be actual wipes. Your hand sanitizer, that's going to be like in that first little thing that you bring out as well. And again, it must be labeled actually hand sanitizer. And then you're going to have those 3 bags. And so I would use 3 grocery bags, but then line them with garbage bags. 1 labeled item to be disinfected, write it all over the bag so that they know what it is. Soiled linens, write it again all over the bag so they know what it is. Containered labeled trash, again that paper bag, write it all over the bag so they can see what it is. Your first aid kit. So you're going to need to make sure that you have gloves in there, finger cots, band-aids, alcohol, cotton, an extra baggie, anything that you may need in your first aid kit, and then the paper towels. They tell you can bring a roll of paper towels. The only thing is once the paper towel drops and rolls away, not a good thing. So make sure that you're actually, I fold them up. We take them and fold them up. We have some light bulbs that are already in squares, so we can utilize those while we're at school. So, and again, everything must be labeled in English, and that you need to bring everything with you. So if you forgot something, you're going to end up taking a 0 on that portion of the exam because you cannot ask anyone, you cannot help anyone. For sweeping up, I just suggest that you take a paper towel, wet it with water, and then wipe all the hair up off the floor. So much easier. They say brooms will be provided at the sites, but that's not always the case. And you can never use their garbage or any of their trash that's there at the test location. So make sure that you're putting everything in your trash bag, hair included. Your end wraps too. Make sure you're separating those out. Make sure that your neck strip is going into the garbage can, anything that you do. So when you switch out from a haircut and curl service to chemical services, that you throw everything that goes in the trash, that you actually put your towels and the linens, everything along the way. So making sure that you have what you need through each of those services. All right, guys, well, I wish you the best. Keep practicing, practice all these skills at home. Reach out if you have any questions. If you need perm rods, end wraps, neck strips, anything, let me know. And we'll make sure that you have everything you need. I hope you guys are having a great day. Bye.